Montpellier have been celebrating the 10-year anniversary since the veterans of that year were veterans of France.
What an atmosphere! There's a few firecrackers over there as well.
Police are investigating a suspected homophobic attack in Dakar after a video began circulating this week of a man being beaten up by a mob shouting anti-gay insults at him. Ever since Idrissa Gueye, a Senegalese football player with Paris Saint-Germain, refused to play in a match...
A champion midfielder of a big European side.
Reports in France suggested that Gueye refused to play for PSG at the weekend to avoid wearing...
We investigated a very complex and controversial side of equality.
Two rallies have come face to face.
Christians don't intimidate. Christians don't harass. You're not Christian.
Questioning those who closely monitor these issues.
It might be because of his religion that he didn't play.
Why did this committee who plans such events have chosen to represent LGBT community through the jersey, through the uniform, or through players?
Midfielder Idrissa Gueye been asked by the French Soccer Federation to explain why he sat out.
Beaten up by a mob shouting anti-gay insults at him.
From Senegal will be engaged and land you in jail. Mr. Gueye sat out a recent game because the rest of his team were wearing rainbow blazers.
On 14th of May 2022, French League One side, PSG played a game wearing shirts with rainbow numbers. And by Wednesday, how and why clubs and players should show support for the LGBT+ community had become a hot cake of discussion after Paris's Idrissa Gueye reportedly withdrew from that game.
Social media reacted very differently. Some people were asking the question of, is it fair for him to sit out of the game? Is it right for him to sit out of the game? A lot of moral questions were asked regarding that decision.
Mohsin Mahmoud is a freelance sports journalist and film director from London.
Because Idrissa Gueye is Muslim and is from Senegal, in both contexts do we realise how these may affect his personal reasons as to not playing.
There has been a huge outrage in social media from both sides, where one side have called for the league and the club to take action against Idrissa, while the others started #WeAreAllIdrissa.
At the end of the day, it is his choice and its will. So I feel like the amount of hype that this issue has got, mainly because football is the world's most entertaining game, I feel like it shouldn't have happened, but there shouldn't have been anything wrong with the way he has expressed himself.
Have anything good to say, don't say it at all. Try. So if if I have been asked to do something and I don't believe in that factor, I'll respectfully ask everyone to exclude me from that particular thing instead of me doing something with regret in my own head that I don't want to do it, yet I'm doing it. It will be not justified to my own self. Having said that, I believe that if I'm silently putting my step back, that makes more sense than just upfront denying the factor which my country or my team believes in.
I believe in including everyone and like inclusivity, but then at the same time, it is his personal opinion. You can't force something.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. We shouldn't force people to wear things and support things publicly that they don't support. It's fine. obviously that comes down to, well, if you're not going to take the knee, if you're not going to wear these laces, what does this say about you? And I think that's where we need to have a conversation.
Why should it say anything about you? I mean, for example, there are black footballers who don't want to take the knee anymore. They think it's sort of lost its steam and impact. If they should be allowed to say, I'm not going to do it, why shouldn't a white player, without you making the insinuation, well, it says something about you if you don't?
And Idrissa Gueye being a player that stood up to something that is very much being promoted in society, and some people are even saying being pushed down people's throats. Someone that stands up to something like that. The question is it actually something quite admirable, someone holding on to their beliefs? Or is it someone that is promoting discrimination and hate? That is a question that we must be asking ourselves, rather than whether or not what he did is something that is right or wrong.
I would argue they have that right. It should be a personal choice, as should all social or political gestures. We shouldn't be shaming or abusing any sports people, frankly, who don't want to participate in this kind of thing.
He never, I'd say, spoke about it in the media, or he never... Yeah, I mean, no, he did not address the media about it at all. Which is, I think, I mean, this is just speculation at this point. It could have actually been a personal reason that he didn't want to play.
Yes.
Never had he outright spoken about the fact that he didn't want to be a part of it because they were promoting this LGBT. No, he just did not. He very respectfully backed out of the game because of personal reasons. So it could actually just be, yeah.
A lot of social media, particularly on Twitter, were reacting to the fact that the LGBT community, whilst it's important for their community to raise awareness and promote their cause, should it be entering the field of football? Are footballers meant to be the icons and the representations of communities in game, when be all end all, the truth and the matter is that a lot of people watch football for football?
Yeah, I also feel like in this entire scenario, what we have been like really overlooking is the fact that these games and the different types of tournaments have become such a huge platform for people to pitch in their money, for the businessmen to invest and in return earn a lot from it. It really hides the purpose of the game, which is solely the entertainment. And I feel like, yes, people are getting entertained by it, but people are also bringing their emotions, bringing a lot of their belief system into it, which isn't right.
But today, for the first time, Clinton, a Premier League player decided that he would not take the knee. It's Wilfried Zaha.
So I feel like, you know, nobody in the game is playing with the tag that, oh, I'm Muslim and my jersey says I'm a Muslim. Hey, I'm a Christian and my jersey says I'm a Christian. Similarly, something which is a very personal belief system and something which can be like in favor of or not in favor of the LGBT community is a very personal choice, and I don't think anybody has to carry that sort of label with them. And when it comes to playing on the ground, it is something which needs to be kept out of the ground, not be included in the game.
Other people may argue that football is a representation of society. These players, these fans are the makeup of society, are the fabric of society, and so therefore it's important to represent attitudes and culture of football in the game, and players should be representing those beliefs, those cultures, and showing that football is for anyone and everyone. But other people are arguing that football is, at the end of the day, a game of sport, and it's a game between two clubs playing on the field, and that these beliefs and cultures shouldn't necessarily be explicitly explored in football, and rather it should be football that fans are there to watch, rather than cultural movements, attitudes of society.
Pride Month used to be about celebrating gay rights and campaigns for equality. It's now more about ad campaigns celebrating righteous brands in places where equality often already exists, from burgers to banks, machines to Marines. Yes, bullets apparently are now gay. Everybody wants to know it's okay to be gay, which of course it is, except of course where it's not. Big brands love to signal their virtue in English-speaking countries, where gay rights have been hard-fought and hard-earned, but not so keen to do it in the Middle East, for example, where it's often illegal and punishable by death. They don't really care about LGBTQ or U. The only pride a lot of these corporations seem to have is in their quarterly earnings report. World football's governing body, FIFA, for example, is flying the rainbow flag at its headquarters a few months before it flies the game's superstars to the World Cup in Qatar, where gay people are flogged or killed.
One of the most negative things that might be happening is that we have a lot of people in society, a lot of clubs in society, a lot of businesses, brands that are changing their flags and changing their logos for LGBTQ plus or LGBT or Pride Month, or to show their support for these things. But are they truly in support of it, or is it merely lip service? Are these businesses and brands doing it for the sake of pleasing and appealing to fans and just society? Or are they doing it because that's truly what they care about? And is it wrong for brands to be doing it and to be changing their logos for the sake of society when it truly conflicts with their own personal stance or their own brand stance? Should we be accepting of these things even though in the heart of hearts of these businesses it's a conflict? These are questions we should be asking. Is it more important for these brands to be pro-LGBT on the face of it, but behind the scenes they're not? Because that's what it could seem like. It could seem as though Paris Saint-Germain is, having a game that is in promotion of LGBT, but in truth, their owners and the club's owners are actually against it.
What's the connection? I mean, the rainbow flag to me doesn't really represent gay rights anymore, and to a lot of gay people it doesn't. And so the laces and it actually represents a movement that a lot of us feel is actually quite regressive.
Yeah.
And that's so. It's a political symbol, isn't it?
It is a political symbol. I agree with you. On the one hand, it represents this kind of more kind of woke retelling of gay rights and trans rights that can be very regressive and very anti-free speech and very.
But that's where the flag makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to a place where being gay is illegal, waving that flag makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But corporations waving the flag now that they've got equal marriage, now with equal rights, where there's no risk. I don't remember any of these corporations waving that flag back when we had Section 28 or when we didn't have equal age of consent.
When we think about the personal reasons that Idrissa Gueye explained for why he didn't come out onto the pitch, we must think about the fact that it might not necessarily be religious reasons. There are other reasons for why he might not have been on the pitch. We must think about the fact that PSG as a club is owned by Qatari Amir, and he is one of the owners of the club. And in Qatar, it's illegal to be gay or from the LGBT community. And so perhaps this kind of conflict and this personal struggle between playing for a club that is pushing and promoting an LGBT game or symbols and gestures towards the LGBT community, yet the club itself is owned by a country that is against LGBT, that personal struggle and that perhaps hypocrisy and this contradiction that he has identified, that might be the personal reasons as to why he didn't want to play. Those are the things that we must explore rather than just thinking about the fact that he's Muslim or the fact that he's from Senegal. There are many different factors as to why someone might have personal reasons, and so it's important as fans and as supporters or even as just merely viewers of the game to think about these differing personal reasons rather than jumping the gun and assuming what we don't know.
The question with no right answer is whether players should be forced to take part in such events, although there are obvious hypocrisies to personal choice.
People have raised the question that if it is because of his religion, then why is it that when he's now signing for Everton that he's wearing a sponsor that is a betting or gambling sort of sponsor? But again, this is a bit of a contradiction because the reason for why he sat out was personal reasons, and it wasn't explicitly made clear that it was because of religious reasons.
was supposed to be Manly's moment to show its support for minority groups. But tonight, the club is divided. 7 players will not take to the field this week, refusing to wear a rainbow-coloured jersey.
The AFL Giants women's player Haneen Zrika is refusing to wear the Pride Guernsey.
In wake of this incident with Idrissa Gueye, one of the things that we're starting to see is that players, managers, or even people in the game might be having personal struggles, adopting a lifestyle that is in conflict with their own. And so we must be thinking about, how do we handle situations like this? And how do we navigate tricky waters like this? How do we address issues and address concerns of players when these incidents occur? And how do we as fans express our views in a way that is respectful and tolerant of society and tolerant of the opinions of others?
It is wonderful that, as the saluting of Jake Daniels shows football is accepting of gay players. But what about traditionalist Catholics or observant Muslims? Are they welcome on the pitch? The Idrissa scandal implies they wouldn't be.
Every hour, every day. Another rescue I need. Idrissa Gueye again. It must be love, love, love. It must be love, love, love.